Hey, everybody, we're going to talk about a very important topic today, incident response, and why the hell this matters. I'm going to have my friend Omry here from Storage Guardian, and we're going to walk this through because this is what he does for a living right now, right? And helping organizations, I guess, live calmly, knowing that if you do get a hit, you don't have to run with your head cut off as a chicken. I think that's the saying. Omry, let's talk about this, man. I mean, everybody understands a bit about incident response, but I want to have your definition. What it is like to have a real incident response playbook.
Thanks for that, Julian. You're absolutely right. IR or incident response is a broad topic. Some people, will say it's a forensics tool after the fact. As coming from our experience, 25 plus years of experience in the BDR space, pivoting into incident response, preparedness, and creating a run book to help plan that out together with the MSP. It's all about validating and learning about the gaps and working through the process together with the vendors, whether it's the EDR, the MDR, the scanning software, and the stakeholders and the MSPs, the brokers that are selling cybersecurity insurance, putting it into a centralized repository, and then doing the tabletop exercise around that. It's required by most cybersecurity insurance companies. They love to deny policies if there's
Mm.
not one in place. And what Storage Guardian has done is they've built out an easy to use template which has all of the key components for the incident response planner. And then we've taken it to the next level by putting in a SMS technology to make the declaration, which is not part of your primary method of communicating in a 0-day event or like events that we've seen over the summer where core communications could potentially be compromised. Having a different or a covert method of communicating with all the stakeholders is extremely important, is paramount. And then working that into communicating with its key stakeholders, with your vendors and your key customers, to communicate with them as you go through the incident is really what customers are looking for out of an incident response. It's a differentiator in when you're in a managed service business to put it in onto a managed service contract. It'll allow you to differentiate as well. And it's a low cost way to run a tabletop exercise where you can charge a premium dollar as an MSP. And happy to demonstrate that to any of your users.
Let's double click on this, Omri. So, I mean, look, when I look at anything, I always look at the way the military performs. They practice stuff. They practice stuff. They practice until it becomes second nature. And this preparedness of what could happen is really what allows them to actually deal with what they never thought about could happen because they know what can happen, and so they're always looking for like all the potential problems. And reality is that if or when, depending on whoever you want to listen to, you do get a breach, right? The question then becomes like, how confident are you that you could recover? I mean, that's a question I would ask, right? How confident are you that you could recover from a breach? And if the answer is, well, I think I've got enough protection to prevent myself from getting a breach, that's a pretty bad answer, right? But if you could say with a absolute certainty or some certainty that what, if we do get a breach, and we think one day we probably will get a breach, and if we do get a breach, here's my playbook, here's what we're going to do, and we've been testing this out and preparing for this. I think that's sort of the best kind of like medicine for this. What do you think, Omri, in the minds of these end customers should
Uh,
be when it comes to this issue?
I would say have confidence in your EDR and your MDR providers because they're a pivotal part of of your stack and protecting your customers. But keep in mind that the bad actors are going to try to blindside you and try to make you pay an extortion very quickly. But also keep in mind that, you know, the modern day ransom attacks are immutably from within with its stacks that you're using. And it's always good to have a checks and balance in place. So if you have a primary method of an EDR, go for it. I agree it's vetted, but always know that it's important to have another source of data keeping your back in a low cost manner. And that's what an incident response is, just going to be a second set of eyes to your primary method, just to notify you. I think I hate to name drop, but big large providers in cybersecurity the last couple of months, including Salesforce incident that happened over the weekend. It's an immutability issue with technology we use. I don't think it's shock and awe anymore that people are getting breached. People want is transparency and preparedness, and that's what an incident response planner is going to give you and your customers, above and beyond a tabletop exercise to validate and to look for the gaps. That's
And simple things like, I don't want to say simple things, but important things like, for example, if you do get breached for some reason, right? You can't use the same communication tools that you've been using, pre-breach, right? Because, well, that's probably compromised too. I mean, I like to know how many, I don't know this number, but how many companies actually have an alternative way of communicating during a breach? Does anybody know this information?
You know, back in the day when business continuity planners were, for the bigger bit businesses like SunGuard and Comdisco were around, everybody would get together in a
War
portable,
room.
yeah, war room, and that would be the covert. I think GE disaster recovery, was a big provider, but we don't have that today anymore. And but you're absolutely right. People aren't practicing what the National Institute of Homeland Security is recommending, what the NIST 2.0 standard is recommending, which is to have a covert method. So if you're a Microsoft user, you should be implementing the incident response with a alternate G Suite, WhatsApp, group to help you respond, and conversely. And those are discussions inside the run book that we can, help you implement. We host it for you in our run book, in our cloud, and you just need to simply log in. Which is the other problem is that the disaster recovery plan, incident plans are often hosted on the server itself or the PC itself that has been breached, which is not very not helpful at
It's
all.
it's funny, but it's not really funny to me because when you're in the middle of that problem, right, then you realize, geez, I can't believe we're hosting on the same servers, or I can't believe we didn't set up an alternative way to communicate. Because look, folks, it's pretty simple, right? Depending upon who the hacker is, right? They can monitor your communications, which means they know what you're doing and are not doing. And so they could be looking at this and laughing in a way. So, oh my goodness, they're going there. Then I'll do this. They can counterbalance whatever you're doing, and therefore make it much more difficult to recover. Even though you probably could recover had not told the bad actors what you're about to do. So that's something simple that needs to be done. But the challenge is a lot of folks out there, they really are not thinking about the right of boom. What happens after you get breached. They're spending a lot of energy to stop you from getting breached, as they should, right? It's better to not get breached than to get breached, right? However, you need to go through this process, because you need to make sure all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted, because missing one of these things in your plan really spells disaster. I don't even know how many people have an IR plan. I don't even know if anybody's tracking the data. In your experience, are you seeing good IR plans? Are you seeing no IR plans? What are you seeing?
We're seeing, people trusting their primary EDR as the plan. Don't worry, I'm gonna get a phone call from the MDR that's corresponding to the EDR, and that's my game plan until that's the weakest link, and they just don't have time to document it. And so that's what we're seeing when we say no, there needs to be a checks and balances to your primary, like you have your accountant, you have your bookkeeper, and that's the way you run your books. No different in cybersecurity. There always needs to be a checks and balance. And our easy to use template will expose all those, key components that you need. In most cases, in an under $5 a month type of a plan because it's pre-built for you, and all you do is fill in the blanks, and it generates a SMS pin for us to monitor together with you so we can have the more complex discussions of running a validation drill and looking for the problems, fixing them, which is reasonable, but being blindsided by a extortion, it will lead to lack of confidence. And what I've seen
Sure.
is getting, losing the MSP contract in total. And like, there's no
Yeah.
need for that when we're able to deliver it at under $5 a user. It's kind of a low cost matter.
Look, I mean, for me, it seems like it's the last line of defense. All right. When all else fails, you got to have some kind of a safety net. And I think that's sort of what IR kind of does. It's the all else has failed, and has failed, and here you are, and you need to figure out how to put Humpty and Dumpty back together on the wall again. Look, I would encourage people out there to reach out to Omri and attend one of his workshops. Man, you hosted them often, right? Attend a
We're
workshop, get
we're
some insights.
hosting
Tell
one
us
with Acronis, and we'll share the details with you shortly on that. And thanks
right
for
on. This is what you got to do, man. You got to learn about this stuff, understand why it matters, and figure out how to do it. Because first of all, it's not rocket science. It can be done because you've simplified it, and it's low cost, and it's a pretty inexpensive way for you to have your best last line of defense when all else fails. Man, go up there, make sure you're protecting your business as much as you can, and reach out to these folks to figure out what you got to do with an IR plan. Omri, it's been a pleasure, man. What's your website, by the way, for them to learn more?
StorageGuardian.com is the homepage. DR Runbook is the domain that we use for the incident response planner, and they can sign up, those two locations. Okay. But
Keep up the great work, Omri. Take care, man. We'll see you soon. Cheers.
thank you very much.